The morning our HOA president tried to kick my trash can and nearly broke her foot was the first time I'd felt peace in months. Picture this quiet suburban street sunrise, barely cutting through the fog. And here comes Brianna Whitmore, head of our Maple Ridge Estates, HOA, strutting down the sidewalk in her lavender tracksuit like she's on patrol. Clipboard in one hand, wireless earbuds in chin high. Every Wednesday, same time, she'd walk by, glance around, and slam her hip into my trash can, spilling garbage all over my driveway like clockwork. 41 times in 6 months. Only mine. Not the house next door, not across the street, just mine. So yeah, that morning when she wound up to kick and hit 300 pounds of solid concrete, instead watching her stumble and curse under her breath felt poetic. I know that sounds petty, but when you've been pushed to your limit, sometimes justice looks like physics. My name's Elias Cruz. I'm a union electrician. Work truck tools in the back. The guy who shows up when your lights flicker and you think it's haunted wiring. I'm also a widower. My wife Anna passed from pancreatic cancer 3 years ago. We fought it as long as we could chemo experimental trials. Endless bills. When it was over, I didn't just lose her, I lost everything. Our savings, our credit, my peace. I filed bankruptcy just to keep us from drowning. My daughter Lena was 16 then. I just wanted her to finish high school somewhere calm, somewhere safe. That's how we ended up in Maple Ridge. Nice lawns, $185 monthly. HOA dues, quiet cul-de-sac. For once, I thought we could breathe. Then came Brianna. Early 40s, spray tan, perfect hair, the kind of smile that's all teeth and no warmth. She called herself a community leader, like she was running for office. She lived in the biggest house on the corner circular driveway, 2 flagpoles, and enough yard lights to guide planes. She took her volunteer title like it was a badge of power. And for reasons I didn't understand yet, she decided I didn't belong. It started small. Week 1, trash scattered across my driveway. Week 2, same thing. Week 3 again. I thought it was a coincidence until I caught her in the act. 6:46 in the morning, she looked around, smirked, and just slammed my can into the street. I couldn't believe it. I put up a ring cam the next day, legal on my own property, and caught her red-handed. Instead of stopping, she doubled down. 3 days later, I got a letter taped to my door. Violation unauthorized surveillance equipment, creating an atmosphere of intimidation. Fines starting at a $100 per day. Signed by her, of course, in that looping cursive that probably took her half an hour to perfect. I remember standing there on my porch, holding that letter, realizing I'd just stepped into something much uglier than I'd thought. After that, she was relentless. She'd show up every morning with a tape measure, crouching in my yard to measure grass height. 3.4 inches, I heard her mutter once. The HOA limit was 3. She took photos of Lena's car in our driveway, claiming it obstructed visual harmony. She even timed my Christmas lights with a stopwatch, saying I'd left them up past January 1st. I got a city code violation, $500 for unlicensed electrical work because I'd installed an outlet for those same lights. Funny thing is, I'm literally a licensed electrician. I knew exactly what that was, her pulling strings with city contacts to make my life hell. And it worked. For a while, I felt trapped. Grieving broke, trying to raise my kid. And now this woman's turning the whole neighborhood against me. You ever hit that point where you're just too tired to even be mad? That's where I was. Then, one night, after an HOA meeting where she called me a disruptive resident, a retired teacher named Dorothy came up to me in the parking lot. She leaned on her floral cane and said, "Real quiet. You're not her first target. Turns out Brianna had a pattern." She looked up new owners' public records, found people in debt, widowed elderly, struggling, and buried them in fines until they had to sell cheap. Then, she'd swoop in through her real estate connections and flip the houses. When I told Dorothy I needed proof, she smiled this tired little smile and came back 2 days later with a dusty box. Inside were old HOA records from before Brianna took over bank statements, minutes filings. The last legitimate HOA president had died 3 years ago, and no one had been elected since. The association had never renewed its corporate status with the state. Brianna wasn't even legally the president. She'd just declared herself one. And over 3 years, she'd funneled nearly $50,000 from HOA dues into her own company under consulting fees. I just sat there staring at the numbers, feeling my hands shake. This wasn't pettiness, it was fraud. Extortion wrapped in pastel colors and fake smiles. From that moment, I stopped playing defense. I started acting beaten. Took down one of my cameras so she'd think I gave up. Stopped responding to her letters. Let the trash sit longer. She bragged to people I was finally complying. Meanwhile, I was building a file thick enough to choke a printer, every fine, every threat, every public record. A paralegal friend named Julia looked through it and said, "Elias, this isn't a neighborhood dispute. This is criminal." That's when the idea for the concrete can came up. One of my buddies at work joked about it, and I thought, why not? She hits it every Wednesday like clockwork. It's predictable. So I bought 6 bags of quick-set concrete, mixed them in my garage. Monday night, poured them into the can, let it cure. Looked totally normal from the street, but it wasn't going anywhere. Wednesday morning, I set my phone on record, poured my coffee and waited. 6:46 sharp, there she was. Lavender tracksuit, clipboard. Same little power walk. She lined up her kick and boom. The sound of her foot hitting 300 pounds of concrete was beautiful. She yelped, stumbled, grabbed my mailbox. The look on her face was pure confusion, then fury. 20 minutes later, she came back with a crowbar and started wailing on that trash can in front of the entire block. Kids at the bus stop were filming. Neighbors stood there watching, mouths open. Someone called the cops. Officer Ramirez pulled up, saw her mid-swing, and said, "Ma'am, you need to step away from the property." She pointed at me, shouting, "He booby-trapped it." I just held up my laptop and said, calm as ever, "Officer, she's been knocking it over for 6 months. I just made it harder to knock down." Yeah, that happened. The video blew up online. When HOA Karen meets concrete type headlines. But Brianna wasn't done. She sued me. Claimed emotional distress, said I was terrorizing a community volunteer. The hearing felt like the last round of a long, stupid war. Her lawyer tried to paint me as unstable, aggressive. Then, Julia played the footage her kicking my can. Measuring grass, taking pictures of my daughter's car, smashing things with a crowbar. The judge didn't even try to hide his disbelief. Then, Julia dropped the documents. No valid board election. No legal standing. 50 grand missing. And that's when Brianna snapped. She stood up shaking, shouting about people like him dragging down property values, and how she had a duty to keep the neighborhood respectable. The room went silent. The judge just looked at her and said, "Ma'am, you're finished." He threw out her case, ordered her to pay for the damage, and referred the financial evidence to the state attorney. Just like that, she wasn't president anymore. She was a criminal. I didn't gloat. I just went home and sat on the porch with Lena watching the sun go down. That trash can's still there. Still concrete. It's kind of a landmark now. Kids joke about it when they ride by. But for me, it's something else. A reminder that sometimes standing your ground doesn't mean fighting it means refusing to move. Refusing to let someone with fake power decide you don't belong. Tell me what you think. Was I wrong for doing it? Or was that the only way to make her stop? Drop a comment because I know some of you have your own HOA horror stories, and I want to hear them.